It's time for another Tackle HD fishing report. Today, from Fish 30 on YouTube, here's Dave McCormick with your latest look at Truman Lake.
Well, welcome back, gang. It's another Tackle HD Truman Lake fishing report. I'm Dave. I'm your host. If you don't know me, I tend to fish a lot, maybe too much. Have a little YouTube channel, Fish 30, maybe 130 tournament videos on various different lakes. Take you from the very beginning of the tournament to the end. Try to take you through the whole steps of it. Come check me out. I spend a lot of time on Truman Lake. I'm going to say over half my videos are on Truman Lake. So anybody who knows me knows I spend a little too much time on this lake. But let's talk about what happened last weekend. An incredibly large tournament came to Truman Lake. And I'm not going to lie, I was just so excited to hear the first day results. I did not fish in this tournament. I did not qualify for it. You had to qualify to be in this event. And there were 100 teams that were in it. So it was a big time tournament. And I was really worried that old Truman would try to skunk them all out. She's kind of a back and forth lake, you know. She's up and down. But she turned out over 50 limits on the first day. I was impressed. Just sheer numbers. I did hear a lot of chatter. I got a lot of friends that were in it. And let's talk about two different styles of the same bait that were doing well for people. This time of year at Truman Lake, there's absolutely no denying it's spinnerbait time. So one of my favorites while the water's still warm, and it's still warm, is that's a 3/4 ounce painted blade spinnerbait. And it's got a Tackle HD swimmer, a 4-inch swimmer on it. I believe that's Ghost Shad, if I'm not mistaken. Apologize if I am. But I'm going to tell you, I really became somebody who loves to put some kind of swim bait on my spinnerbait. I think it trues it up in the fish's mouth. I think it's a bigger offering, so it also pulls the fish from a further away. Yeah, so you can see double willows, and this is a 3/4 ounce. So I'm going to really move this quite along. I'm not going to have to fish it slow. So let's imagine the water's cooling off a little bit. And 2 weeks ago, before we've had this last warming trend, we had us a little cooling trend. And I was out on Truman, and I'm telling you, we had our little 2-day Average Joe Championship. I caught, on the second day, I almost think I beat Joe, but maybe I didn't. But with a round-bladed spinnerbait, one that throbs. And I was keeping it up high. I don't know if y'all can remember way back. Well, since I'm old enough to do it, I'll do it for you. In the 1998 Missouri Invitational, which was always in the early November, about the time of deer season. It was the Missouri Invitational, the BASS Invitational, called the Opens now, but they would come to Lake of the Ozarks every year. And there was a gentleman that's still resident down in Lake of the Ozarks, Basil Bacon, and he had a technique that they even used his name in the technique. It's called Wake and Bacon. And he would throw a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait with giant blades on it, giant round blades that throbbed, and he would keep it way up high. And I'm telling you, he'd fish this all the way through the 45, 46, 47 degree mark and be very productive. So I use that thought process in my head when I'm spinnerbait fishing around any of these Missouri lakes. There's the willow blade that I move pretty fast, and then there's this one. Even though it's heavy, 3/4 ounce, it stays up high because of the rounder blades. So I wake it back, and it seems to really get the fish's attention. So two other baits, same kind of style, but crankbaits. Let me show them to you. Okay, there's absolutely one of my favorites. That's a black market balsa bee from a guy right here in Missouri. has the same name as me, Dave. Good guy. Carves those handmade, and that really dances around and hunts. And I really like that perch color because I still think they eat a lot of green-eared sunfish, our bass do. But now we're starting to see orange in the live well, I'll tell you that. And those are the pinchers of small crawdads, so they're starting to feed on them. Here's a crankbait that has a smaller bill on it. It's not really a square bill, but it is a crawdad kind of pattern and clear. So I was throwing that where the water was a little cleaner. So Truman has had a little bit of the turnover going on, so she's not quite as clear as she was 3 weeks ago, but still didn't have any problems as for clarity. I didn't. Last time we were there, we were still getting an occasional topwater bite. I know my buddies were sending me pictures in the morning of their temperature gauges Saturday morning, 58.9, 58.7, where they were taking off from. So the water was good and warm, good enough to get a topwater bite. And the guys would say, well, Dave, why aren't you throwing a buzzbait? I said, I do throw a buzzbait. Why do I prefer this over a buzzbait? I'm going to tell you this, because in the fall, it seems like a lot of times they push the topwater bait, they mouth it, but don't put it in their mouth. And even though fish get away on this bait, I still think you get more hookups because of the treble hooks than you do with one hook. Granted, when they eat it, chances are the buzzbait isn't coming out, and but when they slap at it, and I'm working on a video right now where I catch a fish in the side, and it's a good one. I mean, a big old donkey, and if I was using a buzzbait, I'd have never got that fish because it slapped at the bait and it got hooked in the tail. So, quite a fight too. Should be good video. So, of course, anybody that knows me also knows that if I'm outside of a pocket, especially or on a secondary that doesn't have any trees and has just pea gravel or rocks, I'm gonna want to throw my football jig over it. So I'm still using a heavy one. I'll use that heavy 3/4 ounce jig all the way through the winter. I think it triggers bites. So obviously it's not the only thing you can throw. It is an effective tool if the water's clear enough. So if I'm out at Truman tomorrow and the water's probably somewhere around 58 to 60 degrees, it hasn't cooled off much. We've actually had the last few days have been very warm. So I'm gonna start out halfway in the back of the creek. I'm gonna idle my boat all the way to the major secondary creek, start fishing there. I might pick the steepest one, start from there and work in towards the back where it's gonna be the shallowest. So that's what I do. All the arms are about equivalent. I guess I really kind of prefer the palmy right now. And the lower Osage because it's clean. It's been pretty clean for the Osage. So even though it's still the dirtiest arm in the lake, I believe, it's not bad. So and that's where we've been catching our fish. So take a kid fishing, get out, wear orange because it's going to be deer season. Anytime you're around a public body of water, I think it's important that you wear orange this time of year. They're not out hunting deer out there in the water, but if you're up in the parking lot or heck, I just wear orange when it's that time of year. So check me out on YouTube at Fish30. We'll have another fishing report for you here in the next couple of weeks. I'm expecting the lake temperature to finally come down a little bit. If we get down a little bit, we'll even do more crankbait talks. Till next time, thanks for watching.